Hey, what's up guys? Nate here. I want to talk really quickly about the new update that is happening on Apple devices and how that is going to affect your Facebook ads. I know a decent amount of people have already reported on this, but I feel like it's super confusing and it's a lot of kind of developer jargon that not a lot of people are understanding. So I want to break it down in really simple terms of how this is going to affect your advertising. There are going to be a lot of big changes, which is why I'm calling it the Facebook reset, because I definitely think this is going to have one of the biggest impacts on marketers that Facebook has done in the past couple of years. But first, before we dive into this big reset, guys, I post a video Monday, Wednesday, Friday about scaling online businesses and entrepreneurship and marketing, the latest news happening in the marketing industry. So if you like those types of things, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. All right, let's check out what's going to change in 2021. So the first thing that's probably going to affect your business, and if not your business, it's going to affect a decent amount of people's businesses, as they are getting rid of the 28-day attribution window or the 28-day click, and there will only be 7-day. Now, what this has to do with is how the actions that someone takes on your site is actually calculated inside of the ad account, and when it's actually processed, and the ads that actually cause that action to happen. And so if you had a longer sales cycle, you want to be able to see what ad actually caused them to make the action. And so the way it's typically been done is it's been based upon impression. Whichever ad gave that person, whichever ad got that first impression is what was accounted inside of the attribution window, which is typically 7 to 28 days. Well, now they're getting rid of that 28 days. So between 7 and 28, you are not going to know, if an ad that you were running 20 days ago is what got them to convert. It's now only going to be tracked on when the actual action takes place. And so that's kind of a big deal for people that have longer sales cycles. It's probably going to reflect a lower amount of ROAS than what's typically been able to take place in the past. And it might affect for people that have those longer sales cycles, it might not allow them to see which ads are actually performing good in a reasonable amount of time. That's one of the biggest changes. Like I said, I think it would affect a people that typically have a longer sales cycle, and that's typically going to be products that are more expensive and that require a more extensive ad layout. I don't think necessarily products that are very cheaper, it's going to affect them too much. But at the same time, even if you're if you're doing retargeting up to 30 days, the original ad that you could attribute to that sale might not be able to be shown. Now, at the same time, I think we're going to get a more realistic view of what ROAS actually looks like, because it's only going to now be counted when the action actually takes place, not based upon the impressions. Now, what I've also heard is that there will be a 3-day lag in reporting time. And so while in most cases reporting can also, it could already be pretty slow in a lot of cases, that 3-day lag essentially gets rid of the idea of day-to-day optimization, and you're more likely going to be looking over something like a 3 to 7 day optimization rather than day to day. In my opinion, that's just it's pretty unacceptable, honestly, in my opinion, to have a 3-day lag on an ad account. The next change that might affect you, depending on how you have your company set up, is there are only going to be able to be 8 conversion events on a pixel per domain. Now, most people are really only focusing on certain pixel events like add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, and so on and so forth. Set up a few custom, conversions and stuff like that on your pixel. Now, for some people who are maybe using multiple domains with different subdomains, well, that actually might affect them a lot, because if you think about something like a franchise and a franchisee, or somebody who just has multiple businesses that are connected to one domain, well, now you're not going to be able to spread out a pixel across different domains with lots of different custom conversions. There's only going to be a limited 8 per domain. And so I can definitely see that for multiple office spaces that are using the same domain, or just have different locations that are connected to a subdomain. I think that's going to affect them a lot. Like I said, franchises as well. The biggest thing I would say right now is to just get your domain, make sure it's verified. Make sure that you have an SSL secure and verified domain, so that this all just is wrapped around the idea of privacy and how that all works out. And they want to make sure your websites are legit. You don't want your ad account getting shut down because you don't have a solid website, but make sure that you are staying under that radar of 8 conversions per pixel per domain. Now, the third thing I want to touch on, there are some other things, but again, it gets very developer, very techie API stuff that not a lot of average people need to know. What I have heard through the pipeline, though, is that there would be no more support for breakdowns on things like age, region, placements, and stuff like that, a couple other things. But what this essentially means is, for the marketer who likes to break that kind of stuff down, to be able to really be able to pinpoint who those types of people are or where placements necessarily need to be, you might not have access to that anymore to be able to see those breakdowns, which can be very important in the large scale of things, to be able to see who that market is. If you really want to hone down on your targeting, that can be something that is really important. Now, this all just stems from the idea of Apple changing basically the custom personal code that you get from when you buy an iPhone. That connects it to the server and allows Facebook to connect that to your ad account, and it allows apps to be able to see that to provide you with the right advertising. That code is essentially changing, and that's where this whole privacy update comes in. And so we are going to lose a lot of access to metrics on people's information in terms of maybe their age or what placements would be best for them to use, and more about these people. This could ultimately affect retargeting a lot as well, because we're not going to know a lot about these people as much as we did before. We're definitely not going to know as much, and so that means that where retargeting is where this huge returns typically come from, they might start to turn down a little bit based upon this update and based upon not being able to have the accurate information of where these people are actually going and what they might actually be interested in. So in terms of the entire Facebook reset, I think that these are the three most important things that you need to know. There's a lot more I could get into, but it's very API developer jargony that probably a lot of people don't actually need to know. But for the general business owner or marketer, this is going to be the most important things that you probably need to know. It's going to probably have an impact on your business. Like I said, it's probably going to change your ROAS a little bit. They might turn down a little bit. I don't know how much this might affect things like CPMs. But in terms of just the data that we are actually going to have to use, that's definitely going to turn down a little bit. And I think this is the beginning of the revolution, or this total reorganization of the entire marketing industry. And I think we're going to see a bunch of rapid changes in the marketing industry. Marketers are going to have to adapt a lot differently. And from what I've been saying, when I always preach on this channel, this is another prime example of why everybody needs to be cross-channel targeting and not just focusing on one platform. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, if you found value in it, make sure that you hit that subscribe and like button down below. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and I would love to provide you guys with more content like this. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.